Thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. Now, before we get started, I want to apologize for leaving you hanging on Friday because I had the pleasure of doing a super secret thing with Taurus at Gunsight, and I'm just not allowed to tell you about it until October 24th. But I think Tay-Tay did a fine job in my absence. First up is another example of somebody getting less prison time for an actual, according to Hoyle, no shit machine gun than Matt Hoover and Kris Ervin got for a drawing of a machine gun part that wasn't even actually to scale. Well, actually, this guy had 4 fast shooty boys, and he wrapped his pickup around a telephone pole. But before we get to Mr. Schobert's wild ride, I want to remind you it would be literally impossible for us to deliver quality 2A propaganda without sponsors, so let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Franklin Armory. Anything worth shooting is worth shooting twice.
Franklin Armory, those freedom facilitators who brought you twice the fuse with their binary firing system, because it's a scientific fact that bad guys with twice as many holes in them are half as dangerous. So in the unfortunate event you should ever need your firearm for defense, remember, it's math. It can't be wrong.
And by Vortex. We've been running their new Defender line of red dots hard since before launch. They found a home on all of our guns, whether for competition, for concealment, or for anything in between. They are rugged, they are packed with features, and they flat out perform. With the CCW, the ST, and the XL, there's a dot for you, and let's not forget their no questions asked VIP warranty that covers just about anything. And by Hydra. The Mark 15 Hydra is the most versatile black rifle platform the industry has ever seen. The most you will ever need to convert calibers is a barrel, a bolt, and a magazine well. According to police, Stephen Schobert got drunk and high on pain pills before driving to a Cody, Wyoming police officer's home with a handgun jammed in his waistband to berate him about not making enough progress on a missing persons case, saying he may have to take matters into his own hands and shoot the man he thought was responsible, all while waving a revolver around and pointing at the cop's house, where his children were. Having admitted to drinking, taking pills, and driving,
a man can only take so much abuse. That's a goddamn dirty drink.
He was then arrested for DUI, and 5 hours later he tested at almost double the legal limit.
I like to party.
But then the court released him from jail to receive treatment for alcohol withdrawal, so naturally he just left and got drunk again. Then he smashed his F-150 into a fire hydrant and a power pole, knocking out power for a significant portion of Cody, Wyoming for a couple of hours. But he left the scene, so the cops put on their detective hats and followed the trail of fluids until they found the truck with Schobert still inside. So off he goes to court again, and this time the judge set a bond condition requiring him to surrender his firearms, and this Mensa member consented to a search of his home, knowing full well he had a Glock with a switch and 3 ARs with auto-sears.
I like to party.
The local cops handed him off to the feds, and he was recently sentenced to 18 months in prison. As a reminder, Matt Hoover got 5 years and Kris Ervin got 5 years and 8 months. For a picture, Hoover and Ervin are political prisoners and remain locked up for an unconstitutional law they never actually broke in the first place. Okaloosa County Sheriff Deputy Eddie Duran, who murdered Roger Fortson, has been charged with manslaughter.
Hell, it's about time.
Fortson was minding his own business on a video call with his girlfriend when a feral Karen reported to police she thought there was a domestic altercation going on because while she was eavesdropping at an AC vent, she heard him roughhousing with his dog and talking to his girlfriend. This is as good a time as any to remind you gentlefolk to exercise good judgment and extreme caution before calling armed agents of the state to solve a problem. They can only solve the sort of problems that can be solved with bullets or locking people in a cage. So the deputy pounded on Fortson's door and hid himself from the peephole, as is their custom. When Fortson opened the door with a pistol pointed at the ground, Duran immediately drilled him multiple times in the chest. He shot a man simply for having a gun in his own home, and if you believe that was justified, you don't believe in gun rights. Fortson was fired, of course, and maybe justice will be served. What do you think? Will Duran be convicted? How long before he gets a job at another department? Polymer 80 is going out of business, and the control freaks over at Bloomberg's propaganda outlet, The Trace, are positively giddy. P80 didn't actually break any laws, and they won in court time after time, and the ATF's ridiculous rules were struck down, but the relentless, unfounded legal assaults were just too expensive. P80 was forced to pay out almost $12 million to LA, Baltimore, Philly, and DC despite never violating any laws. The ATF's silly rule will be ruled on by the Supreme Court, and we all know damn well the feds are going to lose then. And P80's CEO hinted they may get back into the fight. But for right now, the forces of darkness have won a small victory, which means they smell blood in the water and they will renew their attacks with their Bloomberg-funded lawyers. What can we do? As always, donate to the SAF, the FPC, the GOA, and every other worthy gun rights group. And of course, you can buy pews and pew-related things from the companies still in business. Do you folks have any other ideas on how we could fight back against this unjust lawfare? If so, I'd love to hear them. Post them down below. And now for your moment of zen.
AK reload. AR reload.
Hey friends, do you like pews and other pew-related things? Do you want to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of $3.99? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you.